In science, oftentimes we're looking about how two things might be connected. Is there a trend, a connection between these two properties? Is there a correlation? And so what works well is to actually plot them and to see if there is a connection between two variables. So I'm going to go ahead and talk you through Logger Pro now. In General Chemistry 1 and also General Chemistry 2, you're going to have to get Logger Pro under your belt, so you might as well get it there now. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on the sugar lab that some of you are just now creating or completing, and we're going to put in the data that I kind of already talked about before. In the sugar lab, you made four different solutions, but actually one of those things that you pipetted a 10 ml aliquot was water. So I'm going to start with water, weight percent, sugar percent of water is 0. And remember, I kind of just went, and then we had 2%, 4%, 6%, and 8%. Now, are these really the percents of sugar? No, but I'm just kind of pulling them out of the top of my head. So you need to go ahead, and for that column, you need to say that this is our weight percent sugar. So to do that, we can click on the column, do a right click, and then go to column options, and we are going to set the data set is in the X column. So let's go ahead and give a long name for that. Long name is sugar, weight percent sugar. We could give a short name as percent sugar. And units will be unitless. And so that looks pretty good. Now, one other thing I'm going to go ahead and do is click on this options column over here. Let's just say that you knew it to maybe 3 significant figures, or 3 or 4, so I'm going to go with 3. So I'm going to go down here, displayed precision, instead of decimals, I'm going to choose significant figures, and I'm going to change that to a 4. Oh, 3, let's go 3. Now when I do that, notice that I go ahead and now I've got 3 significant figures there. In this lab, we then actually, after we made up our solutions, we went and got the density of everything. So I'm going to tap in some densities here. The density of water should be about 1.00. Density of solution A, I'm going to go with 1.100. Solution B, 1.132. Solution C, 1.302. And the last solution, I'm going to go with 1.495. Now, yours are going to be different than this. But again, you can see I don't have the 4 significant figures I want to have in each of these. So I'm going to go up to the top here. I'm going to do a right click, click on column options. I'm going to do the data set Y. And I'm going to go over to my column definition. My long name is going to be density. My short name is also going to be density. And my units in this case are going to be grams per milliliter. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and click on this other tab over here. I'm going to clean it up and give it significant figures. I'm going to give it 4 significant figures. Voila! Excellent. Okay, so now let's go down here and notice now I see my dots down here, but it's definitely not filling the entire graph. So that is not a very good graph. So to fill it, I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to do a scaling technique. So over here on the graph, I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to click graph options. And, oops. I'm going to do right click and right click auto scale. So right click on the graph and do an auto scale, and it'll go ahead, and now I'm liking this better. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points here. Great. So now I am ready to go ahead and draw my line. First off, before I draw my line, remember that you're, oops, I misspelled sugar down here, didn't I? I can go ahead and, sorry, I need to fix my y-axis, or excuse me, x-axis down there. So I'm going to go into this right here, and I'm going to fix my typo. Sugar. All right, that looks better. What I started to say is every graph needs a title. So I'm going to go back to my graph, do a right click, and do graph options. And up here, I'm going to give it a title. A lot of times, a good title, if you're, like I said, if you're not feeling very creative, you can say Y versus X. So along our Y axis, we had density, VS for versus, and then weight percent sugar. Great. And there are some other options here. Feel free to kind of look around at them, but I think those are all fine for me. I'm going to click done. And now I have a title. Now to get the line, I am going to go into Analyze. And this should be a straight line. So I'm going to go Analyze, Linear Fit. Ta-da! Notice that it also gave me my correlation coefficient information. So we have a 0.9672, not bad for just kind of guessing on weight percents and density. The last thing that you need to be doing for your sugar lab is to go ahead and you have two unknowns, and you know the density for those unknowns, and you need to pick off the weight percent. So here's what that looks like. Go back to Analyze and pick on interpolation. Now when I do that, I got this little box up here, and now whenever I move my cursor from left to right, it'll move the point up and down my curve. So let's just say that I had a density of 1.286, okay? So, sorry, 285. Then I go ahead and, can you see this little box up here in the corner? Okay, oops, sorry. I can get it to freeze if I leave it like that. So this little box over here, this would be if my density was 1.3141, and then that would give me a weight percent of 5.817, or however many significant figures you were allowed in your calibration samples. So I hope that helps. And remember, actually to print then, you go over to File, Print. And you have printing options here. You can kind of play around with those. So just keep me posted as you have any questions.